meanwhile, this big cold calling campaign is happening, right? You're dialing through the all those, let's say it's, 10,000 records that you're working through right now in call tools. We're going to continue dialing through those. But after a certain amount of dial attempts, of course, we're not going to reach a certain amount of people. Those certain amount of peoples, we want to make sure that we skip trace those ones for sure in a second location, because bulk was your main thing. You need to make sure you're using at least 2 different skip trace providers. Are you doing that now?
We're not doing that now. That's something we need to definitely get on.
So let's definitely add that into the equation, because what happens is when you skip trace from somewhere, you're going to get about a 90% response rate from the first skip tracing provider. But after calling through that list, you're only going to reach between, even like after 3 dial throughs, you're only going to reach upwards to 5%, and depending on your phone numbers and stuff like that, you could be upwards of 15% of the prospects, not the skip tracing. So if it's 1,000 prospects and it's 3,000 phone numbers, then you're going to reach about 5%, so 500 homeowners, right? Roughly of the total quantity. Or I'm sorry, that was not the right math, but you get the point, right? So what we want to make sure that we do then is we say, okay, cool, we didn't reach say 700 of these homeowners, so let's skip trace those 700 in a second location, call through it again, because after a second provider, you're going to reach another roughly 3 to 5% or so, depending on if those 2 skip tracing locations are pulling data from the same location or not. And the reason why is just because data providers, everybody's like, oh, hey, this skip tracing provider is better than that one, and this, that, and that, and it's like, it's not really true. It's just they're all, every one of them is going to have a certain amount of correct and a certain amount of wrong numbers, and some of them prioritize because they have algorithms in the back end, which you can understand because of being a computer science major, right? We pull the phone numbers in from these different providers, credit bureaus, this, that, and the other, and then there's an internal algorithm that says, okay, well, based off the information I got from here, 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 and here, I prioritize this as being like a better phone number than this one. So they might be getting in 50 phone numbers, but they pluck out 3 to 5 to 10 of them of the 50 to say, okay, these ones are the best ones. Let's give this to the customer. But the other guy might have a better algorithm, and so it might prioritize a different one. But this guy's algorithm, yeah, it's better, meaning it was the right phone number for the owner, but they just switched phone numbers yesterday or a month ago, and so this guy's more current. And so, or this guy pulls relatives and it prioritizes the spouse, and so it's just good to have that diversity. But after 2, it's a waste of money, right? Because after 2 providers, you're pretty much going to get, all of the phone numbers that you could possibly get, for somebody. And at that point, now it's like, cool, well, we had 1,000 prospects. We called through it one time. We got, 200 or so correct phone numbers for correct homeowners. Then we call through, we skip trace in a second location. We got another 200, but I'm still left with 400 to 500, people that I never reached before. And at this point now it's like, okay, well, it could be because it's cold calling. They need to be texted. And so now we can either pull that over, just use batch even, since you're already paying for it, and just send them, an SMS campaign for 3 attempts, right? And because that's the way that they want to be heard. We got to make sure we're marketing not in a way that just appeals to us, but in a way that the potential customer wants to be heard. It's no different than, if I was watching TV and I'm not interested in, because I'm fucking 5'7", $140, like football's not my thing, I would get annihilated, right? And so they put a football ad in front of me, I'm not going to be as interested. But they put a UFC, featherweight ad in front of me, I'm going to be interested. And so that information. But I don't watch cable. So if they're going to get me with the ad, they need to do it on YouTube, not on cable, right? And so big marketing companies understand this, right? Because they look at the patterns. We don't have the advantage of the information that, through the internet, that these, other companies have at scale. But what we do have is we have age demographics. We have the, location in which they're living, and we have phone numbers. We know that they're mobile or they're landline. And so we have to use the information that we have available to us to say, hey, I called through it. I have that insight. They didn't answer. I'm going to assume that out of the 500 people I didn't reach, probably another 5% of them or so are going to want to be reached through text messaging because that's their persona. And so I'm going to send it through that, and I'm going to get another 200 some people or whatever, 50 people. And then after a while, you chipped away at it, and now I'm left with 250 people that want to see a direct mail piece. And then there's always going to be a percentage of those people that would just never respond to you ever, but they might go online and search and Google you and find you that way in the future. Or they might need online ads or something else like that, blanket marketing and things like that. But some of this stuff is easier to adopt in and kind of tighten that leaky faucet before the other. And so for you right now, it seems as though that answer is cool. Let's make sure that we simplify the flow a little bit on the bulk dialing aspect of things, find the niche to be first to market with, make sure we're skip tracing in a second location on the bulk dialing. And these are all little tweaks that can yield 2, 3, 4 times the response back on the same data and same money that we've already spent, right?